Why am I bothering about this? 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Go Hunt podcast, the only podcast striving to discover the secret of elk-flavored peanut butter. As always, we have Dave Packard, who is here tonight with something.
Wait, what?
Mike Gonzalez,
Gonzalez.
boob angler. Sam Alexander, now wearing hog casings for socks. And I'm Vince H., who has it all figured out. No, really, I do. Ask me anything. Tonight, we're talking about Sam's Sweet Sausage, Fireside Adventures, and Awe Prism.
Okay, you have it all figured out. How do we make elk-flavored peanut butter?
That wasn't in reference to elk-flavored peanut butter. I now know nothing.
Oh, you
I'm
said
once
ask
again
any
confused.
question.
First you shoot an elk, and then you stick your sweet sausage in it. Or
What, are
make
you
your
covered
sweet
in peanut
sausage
butter?
from it. Wait.
Oh, wait.
Who are we?
This is a state where it's legal to bait bear. And so not only are you sitting in the gut pile, you also just slathered yourself in peanut butter and honey to become the bait.
I'm pretty sure that bears liking honey is a myth, but
I think
know.
I don't know, dude. If you look what they put in like bear bait barrels, it's a mixture of like bread loaves and molasses and syrup and just like then it's basically what you would make yourself if you were 9 years old and you were left in the kitchen unattended for an hour.
No. It's what you make at the restaurant while you're waiting for your pancakes and you're using all the crap that they brought out beforehand.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
honestly all crap that I could imagine tastes like salmon drippings.
Yeah.
What doesn't eat honey? Like everything eats honey. What are you talking about?
Not everything. Things that don't like the flying
Deer will-
darts don't like honey.
I bet deer will eat honey.
Also, bears
Yeah,
eat
if there's
honey
no
all the
flying
freaking
darts.
time, dude. It's a high density calorie thing, and their hides are and their fur's so thick that they actually are pretty sting proof.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a fair point.
stuffing a bait barrel with dog food, popcorn, bread, and cookies.
What the fuck?
And beer.
This actually sounds exactly what my brothers would try to feed me when I was like 7, and my parents were at home.
It sounds like expensive fucking bait.
I mean, it's
A lot of people I've heard, they get like leftover, like scrap food
Mhm.
from restaurants, especially donuts.
So basically, they're baiting bears with trash cans.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's
And
that's
then
what
we're
you
all
do.
going. Then we're all going to complain that the bears keep knocking over our trash cans. Meanwhile, we're baiting them with the contents of our trash.
Well, you drive a trash can out into the middle of nowhere, cut a hole in the side of it, and fill it with a bunch of food scraps.
To be fair, I'm looking at a picture of a dude who has a 50-gallon drum ratchet strapped to a metal backpack frame, and they're on a pretty steep incline, and that looks pretty freaking metal. So, good for him.
It makes me think of like someone baiting a trap with a 12-pack of like
If it's
Keystone Light
Boosh.
I was about to say
No,
we're going
it's
to catch Dave.
boosh. We
and
don't
some
waste
Fritos bean
Keystone.
dip trying to catch rednecks. Like,
Dave, it's not a waste of Keystone. We're trying to trap you.
I mean, success. But
We're going to write a book on how to trap a Dave.
imagine yourself how Steve Irwin would describe you if he was trying to jump on you and catch you.
it only works with Daves, not Davids, because those are pompous assholes. Just
For those-
Because they go by their
those-
full name, David.
For those,
Yeah.
you need a microbrew IPA.
One has an id, the other does not.
Honestly, to trap a Dave, to catch a Dave, all you need is Chris Hansen. No, I'm kidding. All you need is a key light, and you say, "Come here, Dave, come get your key light," and then you just put him in a closet with his key light, and he's a happy camper until he realizes the closet doesn't open.
I
what,
will
you're
drink
in there
enough
waiting for
Keystone
him?
that I will not care. And I'm not claustrophobic. Daves aren't claustrophobic.
Right, but when you run out of Keystone, you will have a problem. You'll be
If
like,
I run
"Hey,
out of
let me
Keystone,
know."
I will have drank 30 of them, and then I will break the fucking door down.
But it's a panic room. You can't do that. It's built to keep you from breaking the door down.
Have you seen me? I'm not small.
Besides, he knows there's more Keystone outside of the room. He's going to get out.
Give me the beer.
Exactly.
Raw. All right, I don't want Dave in the woods.
Now it's
I'll
gonna be
tell you
like,
that
"Hey, Dave," and it just breaks through a wall.
Oh
It's like your redneck Kool-Aid man. It's like, what you want?
I like that Family Guy episode where
Hey,
somebody
girl,
when Peter crashes
what's your
through
name?
Kool-Aid
What's your
Man's house,
sign?
and Kool-Aid Man's like, "Wow, from the other side, that's kind of annoying."
Girl, the back of your head ridiculous.
Oh boy.
Oh,
All right.
Anyway,
well, that was fun.
yeah. Well, that's what we do, right? We have fun.
I had a question for you guys, and if you're a listener out there, you can email me. Do we need like a transition song in between? All right, we're done with our like random.
No,
I don't know. It might be nice to give
Right.
us a moment. It might give us a nice moment just to, and then move on to the first thing instead of this awkward like. All right,
well,
that's all. I mean, just think on it. Let's
I
think
can
about
hum
it.
the Halo theme.
I would
That'll work.
do a soundbite, not a song.
Well, that's what I meant. Like
It would just
something
like
that's
boop,
the
boop,
total
boop,
of, like
boop, boop.
3 seconds.
No, yeah,
You could-
like
you
the
could hit
Blue's
the,
Clues when he finds the clue.
I've never watched Blue's Clues.
That
how about
That,
the Quake
something like that.
boom headshot? Boom headshot. Moving on.
I preferred the one from Halo. I
Really?
never really played Quake because I'm, a man.
Well, I never played Quake either. However, I have played numerous games, including Counter-Strike, that have taken Quake isms, like the beginning, "Let's go," and stuff like that. It's anyway,
Quakeism.
Quakeism.
Sounds like a disease.
And then if
Is
you
a
get
show
get a
title.
headshot, boom headshot,
Okay, so I made sausage. We'll just roll
boom
right on with that
sausage.
because I don't want people dwelling on my sweet sausage for too long. Like we just need to give it to them.
It's already been like 7 minutes. They've been dwelling on your sweet sausage.
I know, and
Probably
it's
for-
time. It's time to it's time to satisfy them.
You're
But how do
really
you know
diving into
that
the
the sausage is
satiation, but
sweet?
okay.
It's actually not sweet at all. So I'm pretty sure whoever wrote that lied.
I bet it would taste.
It
really
was
good with sweet
definitely
sausage.
Mike. Mike
I
tasted
can
your
imagine.
sausage
It-
and
it-
called it.
It's
It was like
homoerotic
sweet.
enough to be Mike's. So
I only make hard lemonade.
Make hard something.
yeah, okay, we're over this now. So I went out and bought me all the tools of the trade to make sausage, which would be I guess you just pronounce it lem. Is it capitalized lem? I wrote it capitalized lem in my show notes going into here, but I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. Lem number 8, a meat grinder, whole half horsepower. I almost bought the 3/4 horsepower because I was like, was half horsepower going to be enough? I don't remember how big my parents' meat grinder is. Oh yeah, it's enough.
You just didn't want to compensate.
Never.
I
really.
mean, I
No,
could've
I
kept
don't
like-
need a 3/4 horsepower.
I mean, you get the ones that are like, over 1 horsepower and and it's like the size of a fire hose, but that made very short work of the grinding. I'll tell you that much. And then I also got a 5-pound, again, lem sausage stuffer. So got all that stuff.
Is that the one with just like the plunger? Sorry to interrupt.
It's just
the
got
one.
the crank on the back. Yeah, that just
Oh, it's a crank.
squishes it out the front.
Okay.
Yeah. I basically just watched the Meat Eater video on, I think it was one of the breakfast episodes. He makes some kind of moose sausage. I was like, so he's got a meat grinder and he's got a sausage stuffer. So that must be what I need. The meat grinder came with like a nozzle and a plate for stuffing sausage, but considering how I wanted more control with the crank. So that way I'm not sitting
Yep.
here like bursting casings left and right. But
Mhm.
no, I took it was the leftover. I think I had the front legs, one back strap, and the flank meat left over from the beaver from last year that you were with me when we shot that one, Mike. I guess I shot
Yeah.
it. I shouldn't say we shot it. It wasn't like a tag team. Like,
No,
hey, I'll shoot it in
we
the
shot
torso.
it, comrade.
You shot
It's
it in the
our
head.
beaver.
It's
Yeah,
our bullet.
you take pictures of me hiking out with this Iraqi type of
You tag
hat.
teamed that beaver.
It was an Afghan hat.
Afghan.
I actually
there.
showed pictures of that beaver at my little birthday shindig on Saturday. They were like, because the beaver came up and
Oh, yeah.
they were asking me, stuff. What do we do? with the podcast, and I was like, well, we shot a beaver last year, and they were like, what, really? And I was like, yeah, dude, it was like 80 pounds pulled out of the water, probably 60 pounds on its own.
I was about
Just
to say,
20
yeah.
pounds of water soaked into the fur.
Okay, good. I was about
And
to,
they were like,
I thought you were
oh,
about
no,
to say it was an 80-pound beaver. I was like, wet, yes, dry, no.
No, I made that clear, and then they were like, I didn't have any idea they could get that big, and I whipped out the photo of that thing hurled over your shoulder with its head dangling down by your hips, and just its girth just flung. It's a nice picture. It's a solid photo to show how big the goddamn thing is.
Beaver and girth. And this is like phrasing, man. Come on.
Dude, you set yourself up so many times.
Hey,
I
Sam
finally
had the
learned
girth
to
flopped
just-
over his shoulder.
I think I've. Oh boy. What's that funny feeling? I finally learned just to embrace all the nonsense because no one's ever not going to make these stupid jokes, so I might as well just get over it.
They kind of
I
write
haven't made
themselves.
a single. Go ahead, Vince.
I just saying they write themselves. You don't have to make them.
Yeah.
I
true.
know. Whatever. Moving on. The only thing that bothers me still is when we're actually if I'm trying to like have a serious conversation, and then there's someone in the background going, "He said beaver." Like, yes, I know I said beaver. Come up with some more original jokes. At least put some effort in.
So
I never have made a beaver joke. I was making a joke about Mike saying about the girth.
Oh, I know it's fine, but it's
And
all
the
it's all
size.
related.
Yes. Yes, I know.
So is beaver sausage an oxymoron?
I mean,
We will call it completion.
It's like it keeps inverting on itself. It's a Mobius strip of concepts.
Jesus.
It just
It's like the Discovery Channel thing that you could get.
I think it's just right. It's just
all right.
it's right.
Anyway,
So, this sausage.
I took the leftovers from last year, and then I took basically all the meat off the one from this year. Boned it all out. Got it all. Well, all right. So what I was reading first is like, oh, you got to make sure you get it really, really cold so it grinds easy. So what do? I get it really, really cold. So it's just to the point where it's about to freeze. And I run it through the grinder along with basically an entire pork shoulder. Because I'm thinking I wanted to make this basically as foolproof as absolutely possible. Like if I do half pork shoulder, I could probably put a freaking dead penguin in here and it would probably taste good, feathers and all. So I ground them all up, and that grinder, I mean, I did it through the coarse grind first, and then it went through the coarse grind like nothing, like chunk, 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 chunk. It spit meat out the front, no big deal. Went through the more fine grind too, same old thing. So that grinder's awesome. Like I managed to luck my way into like, oh, I guess I'll never have to buy another grinder again, which was actually what I was aiming for. So,
Did you mix
Oh, boy, that actually
seasoning
holds true.
in first, or did you add seasoning after you ground?
I did not put seasoning in first because the directions on the stuffer were filled with warnings about not putting the seasoning in until you're ready to stuff it, because the seasoning could cause the meat to stiffen up. Oh wait, there's another one right there, isn't it? But basically, it was saying it could be because maybe the salt sucks moisture out of the meat and makes it harder to actually compress through the nozzle. But I don't know, so I waited.
Okay.
So yeah, ground up my pork, ground up my beaver. I basically just I alternated putting pieces of beaver and pork down the chute to make sure it was all nice and grounded up. And then, why am I totally blanking out? I don't know. Anyway,
Ground beaver pork
I just
shoot.
had a thought.
thank you. Yes, interrupt me so I can collect my thoughts.
A wild pig stuffed with a beaver, stuffed with multiple squirrels, like a turducken.
So we gotta find out
beaver whirl.
the squirrel, the beaver to squirrel ratio. Like, I think we gotta find something more in the middle. So we gotta pop down to then like a muskrat to a rabbit to a squirrel. Get as many layers as we can going on here. instead of like stuffing squirrels in nilly willy.
I mean, it's kind of like a really terrible pinata.
Piñata.
Oh no,
Big meat pinata.
no.
You just have it on the smoker, and it's just like, all right, who wants to hit the
Oh,
pinata?
Like one of those little, like if you go to a shawarma place or Mediterranean grill type thing, they'll have the meat on the spit that's rotating vertically in front of the heat, and they slice it off as they go. You just slice through and you just make your way through the layers.
You just
You know what you
wander
should
into
do
a
is just
bodega in New York with a baseball bat and just
pinata.
wail on that meat.
just saw the whole assembly in half, front legs on one side, back legs on the other, and then you've basically got these Russian nesting dolls of various animal meats, and you can just pick there and I want some ducking, and I want
You
some
put the
squirrel.
lid back on.
We
And
could,
then you
we
put the
could,
lid back
we
on.
could take this like super far, and I think it will require some thought. So let's put a pin in this meat pinata.
It's going to require a crane because eventually the outer casing is going to be a blue
Like-
whale.
We may start with mouse and end with elephant.
Is the mouse like the cherry on top of the sundae? Like who gets the mouse?
I
No,
think
the-
it is the thing
It's
that
got
gets
it's
drowned
even
in
got a
there.
stem. It's got a stem.
It's
Comes
the
with it.
Tootsie Roll at the center.
It's that thing in Top Chef that they have to use, but you never know it's in there.
Creme fraiche.
oh
No,
boy.
that's
Anyway.
an accent. Anyway,
So for seasoning, I also decided to play it safe and got Shields branded brat seasoning, which turns out is the first mistake. Kind of. Not a major mistake, but it is very Mike, you I should mention you ate what? I gave you I forget how many I actually gave you.
10
But I gave-
total.
Okay, I gave you 2 fresh ones and you ate those.
Mhm.
Did you notice a really strong nutmeg flavor on either of them?
Honestly, I cooked those up when my buddies got to the party, and it wasn't a huge thing, just a couple of friends, but I grilled up both of the fresh ones and then cut them up into pieces, and everybody tried them all. I asked if there was any different in flavor, and they're like, "Yeah, I tasted a little difference in flavor, but it's like it's
Because one
it's
of them
not bad. Like
was stronger than the other. So I learned
maybe
my
you're
lesson
just
here.
sensitive to nutmeg."
Well, I learned I like nutmeg, but honestly, when you tear open that pouch, it smells like eggnog. Like
Yeah.
I sniffed that and went, "That smells like eggnog" because there's so much nutmeg in there.
Eggnog's gross. Bye,
boy.
Dave.
I'm gonna fight you later, though. Anyway,
Eggnog is
All right,
gross.
I'll
I'm
just
gonna fight both of
I'll
you.
just
then.
hand you a thing of eggnog and put you in the corner, and you'll.
I
be
need
fine.
Dave to get back in here to back me up. Anyway, or I'm about to fight all three.
Look, if there's 2 closets and one says eggnog on it, and the other one says Keystone, I'm not going into either one. Okay.
And they both have padlocks on them.
Eh.
Don't
7
open
minutes
those.
in hell.
Anyway, so my review of the Shields beer brat seasoning is too much nutmeg. One of those, so I broke it up, and so I had 10 pounds of ground up meat. I should say that there's 10 pounds of brat that I made. I did basically, since I had a 5-pound stuffer, I split it in half, and then I followed the directions and put in half the package for 5 pounds. And yeah, that was a little too strong. I was talking to one of our buddies, Craig, and he was the one who, after the fact, after I figured it out too, was like, "Hey, you should really add a little bit of seasoning and then fry up little bits at a time until you get it to the right." Like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Didn't think of that one.
I made a bunch of sausage with a deer I shot one year, and I just basically, it never occurred to me to do it that way. I just went up to my brother's house and I bought everything he told me to, and we just mixed it all the way he told me to, and it came out phenomenal. It never did occur to me to try it little by little.
Where did you get the casings?
Shields.
Shields?
They have it's the same. It's that same Lem brand. They had hog gut casings just packed in salt and shelf stable, sitting right there.
Cool.
Okay.
So no,
Shields
I
sounds
did.
cool.
Shields is pretty cool, actually. I mean,
I
it's
enjoy
kind of
Shields.
like it's kind of like a sporting goods store, but the sporting goods store is actually cool and not just like dicks, literally and figuratively. Anywho, I mean that's a little overpriced, but it was all right there. So like, okay.
Trademark.
Anyway, no, so I made that first batch. Struggled my way through the sausage stuffing at first because I listened to the directions on the package with the hog casings, but didn't let them sit in the water to loosen up enough. So the first batch kept tearing. But no, linked out about 10 pounds of sausage. The second batch that I made, the other 5 pounds, I cut it back to like 75% strength, which I think is a lot better. It's not nearly as strong on the nutmeg flavor. But no, yeah, that turned out actually really good. So I was really paranoid going into this because my wife had a very bad experience the first time I cooked beaver for her. I don't know, Vince, if you remember this, because I think we talked about this. Yeah, definitely before you came on. I tried to make fajitas out of a beaver backstrap, and I also took the heart. So I was like, oh, I'll throw the heart in here. And I didn't remember to clean the heart out first. And that happened to be the very first bite of beaver my wife has ever eaten. Was uncleaned beaver heart. Oh yeah, because she's like, that's like I can't do it. It's nasty. So I'm thinking it's
heart's an acquired taste anyway.
I disagree.
It can be, but I mean,
liver on the other
crane
hand.
heart definitely not. Anyway, so she's like gagging on this piece of meat, and I'm eating the backstrap, and it's pretty gamey, but I'm like, okay. Focus on, all right, definitely it's not like venison backstrap. You can't just fry it up in a pan and off you go to the races. Fair enough. But she's like, I'm thinking, man, it's not that bad. She's eaten by roadkill deer, which I think is almost repulsive. And she's like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, whatever. And so like an hour later, I go back to the bowl to try some of the leftovers to try and kind of work my way through, like, does this still taste good? And I found a little bit of the heart. And I went, oh, there's some heart. Oh yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. So
I like deer heart, but
yeah,
it still does have it has some of that liver-ish flavor to it. It's very
this
it's very strong.
It didn't taste like liver. It tasted like swamp ass, man. It was bad.
Dave, have you had the deer heart?
I have had deer heart. I've had elk heart, and then big fans.
Crane heart is delicious.
Pronghorn heart is fantastic.
Those little crane hearts are like
Crane heart.
I imagine
crane heart
would be like chicken heart.
Yeah, crane heart would be a lot like chicken heart.
Close.
It's just like tasty and goes right on down. And you're like, yum.
The crane heart that ate up Springfield, Colorado.
Crane liver. Crane
I will
liver.
get you
Best
more crane
liver
livers
I've
this
ever
year.
had.
I promise, Dave. I promise. I will get every crane liver I can get my mitts on for you. I'm sorry I didn't do it this year.
No, oh my God! Just take Dave with you.
No, I can't because he goes hunting when I'm plowing snow. Literally, last time he was headed through my town, and I passed him in a fucking snowplow.
Yep.
As I waved, and then
texting the whole.
His brother was just looking straight ahead.
I wasn't driving, and neither was Dave when we were texting about when we'd be driving through the middle of town. Because that would be against the law in Colorado.
No, I was parked.
Like, oh, look, there's Dave. Bye.
Because I have blinky lights and I can stop wherever the fuck I want to.
Must be nice. Can I get some blinky lights?
Yeah.
Dave's boss would call him
Amazon.
like, "Why does a geo-tracker say you're 60 miles into Texas?"
Why don't
you joke about that? Our tracker is called GeoTab.
Look, Dave was just following the snow, okay? That's why he's in Texas. Anyway, but no, made that second batch. What was I on? I was talking about being paranoid. Oh, that's what I was just saying, is that everything came out tasting great. The only changes I would make is next time, this was just precautionary, eliminate as many variables as possible. I'll just do my own seasoning mix for the actual, seasoning. And then I would have to cut back. Well, I would like to experiment with cutting back on the ratio of pork just to get more beaver meat in, just to see how it turns out. But definitely needs a little bit more fat in those bratwursts. They're not quite like as juicy where you bite into them and they go pop as they could be.
That I did notice. However, they were still really good.
What some of those will actually be perfect for is like pan frying in with pierogies and onion and butter, because they won't add a ton of fat Yeah, they won't add a bunch of like you can do that with bratwurst. It tastes really good, but there's so much fat coming out of the bratwurst that it's like these things are just like bathing in fat. So the leaner sausage will actually work really good for that recipe.
You should make hot links next time.
I don't do
Bro.
spicy stuff, man. I'm
Oh.
whiter than you know that whole Weird Al song about being
Oh.
whiter than sour cream? That's me. Like
Oh,
I am greedy all
man.
the way. I'm not as bad as my dad. My dad thinks, what the hell does he think is spicy that's ridiculous?
Black
I can't
pepper.
think of it. No. Ah, dang it.
Garlic.
It'll come up to me later. There's something my dad thinks is like spicy that's like really, really not. I can't remember what the hell it is. I'm not going to dwell on it. But and then I made also 3 pounds of venison, beaver, pork breakfast sausage, which that was a Lem branded breakfast sausage seasoning. Again, just eliminating variables. And that one's almost disappointing because it's not a very strong breakfast sausage flavor. It's the whole
No.
packet's supposed to take up. The whole packet was supposed to do 5 pounds. Well, the whole packet in 3 pounds is like, I guess this tastes like breakfast sausage. All right.
Man, if you just salt, sage, and red
totally.
pepper, and if you put enough in there, it'll taste like something. I tell you what.
It tastes like nothing.
I'll tell you.
No, next year. So in the fall, now that this has worked out successfully, I am going to try and get at least a couple more of these bastards in the fall. And yeah, at that point, I'll be more than comfortable going, hey, let's just make our own seasoning. This was purely just eliminate variables so that if something tastes wrong, I won't have to blame myself. That's all.
That's
But yeah,
fair.
sausage.
It is nice to hear that your beaver is actually a viable use of meat to the everyday person, I would think.
Well, I mean, again, I'm a little sensitive to the gaminess because I didn't grow up eating it, and I haven't eaten a bunch of it yet, so I haven't gotten used to it. I suppose is a way to put it. I know
guess
some
you could
people
say
go, "Oh, you're just a fucking picky eater. You don't like." It's like, well, yes, I am a picky eater. Get over it. But this, I mean, using like the back leg that we did last year for like the barbecue sandwich was pretty good. It was just a little too much on the lean side. So like for pot roast recipes, I would say it's good to go, but it's also nice to know. Now my brother said you could, because he shot an Aoudad down in Texas a few years ago, and he said that thing was basically rancid until they turned it into sausage. So I'm pretty sure again you could take like a rotten penguin and grind it up and make good sausage out of it. So. But we'll probably end up using a lot of it just for sausage because, again, I hate to call it like a filler meat, but it's relative. I mean, I shouldn't say it's relatively easy to procure because I failed so many times last fall. Yeah, I should probably shut up on that one. But anyway.
Well, it's not easy to procure if you use a trap. It's a little
It's
easier
not
if you use
easier
a
to
rifle.
procure if you get your jimmies up and decide to take a crossbow. And then don't be patient and spook it 3 times and then lose it at 70 yards because you can't take that shot with a crossbow in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a rifle next time.
Yeah.
Anywho,
You should use the bow fishing rig.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Fucking A.
Crossbow
on that
fishing.
one.
Well, what we
Deer
should
fishing, turkey fishing.
I'm not going to call this like ethical treatment of the animal, but you could get like 3 guys out there and they all are like harpooning and dragging it to
Oh,
shore.
sweet Jesus. They don't weigh that much.
Now that's a video. Out there in a whaling boat.
What are you whaling for? I thought whaling was illegal. It is. So we practice on beaver instead.
We're whalers on the
Wailing
moon.
for beaver.
That's a show title. Anyway, no, that was fun. I like making the sausage. It tastes good. We'll be rolling that into our diet here over the summer. And I've got a couple pounds to give to our buddy Sean down in the Springs, whether he likes it or not. And yeah,
I'm sure he will love your beaver sausage. And then he will trade you.
he might be
likely.
like, "What the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of my office. Don't bring that shit here."
That's generally what he
Did you buy
says.
a gun?
Get
Mike,
that rat
right?
sausage out of here.
No
Mike
one
pointed-
invited you. Why are you naked? Like,
Mike pointed it out, but the veins in the natural hog casing when that sausage is packed in there pretty tight, give it a rather distinctive look.
There's a reason people call them wieners.
Distinguished, even.
Yep, and they've got a little bit of a curve to them. Like, huh, son of a bitch. Oh, and linking them. Sorry, I was just moderately impressed that it turns out, yeah, you just got to give them a good twist, and then let them sit for a few minutes and snip them, and they stay like sausage linked. That was pretty cool.
You know, when I was growing up and I saw sausage links in cartoons, and I had never seen a sausage link ever done like that, I thought they were made up.
Oh, dude, I've looked up a YouTube video, and I did it on one of mine, on double linking them. So just you fold it in half, give it a twist, grab it below, give it a twist, loop one of them through the top, and then repeat. It was like, oh, that's fucking neat.
Huh.
And then I watched some dude triple linking them and went, okay, that looks like a sewing machine. I'm out.
You're crocheting meat, sir.
Next thing you know, he's got a meat quilt.
You got two pool cues just. Like, this is the greatest Afghan ever.
It's all made with pork.
It's just meat. And when you get hungry.
What's funny is that is haram.
That's all I got. I enjoyed making sausage. That was actually kind of fun. I didn't get my daughter involved in the process as much as I wanted to because she slept over at my parents' house because my brother's in town with his kids. And the second day, it was just like, all right, I got to get this meat out of the fridge and get it turned into sausage before it goes bad. So
if that's all you got on sausage, I actually have a question.
Oh boy.
I would like to know if anybody's ever been aware of the fact that a shotgun exists that actually needs braces because it's got such an atrocious overbite.
You mean
if you weren't aware of this, Dave, please tell us about your new gun.
Wow, you lost me on that one completely.
Okay. So
I got it.
The overbite is not.
Thanks, Vince.
It can be adjusted. I just haven't adjusted it yet. However,
so
I did get a new pew. Yeah, no, it looks a little goofy, but I am part of the carry handle gang now, albeit it's Picatinny carry handle. But no, I got a Escort DF12 12 gauge for Father's Day / my birthday. And shout out to Brady for giving me that. And I think it's going to be my new coyote gun. Like when I'm actually calling coyotes.
With that carry handle, I just saw a picture of one where it's not mounted like halfway down the gun. It does look slightly more normal.
Yes.
I would recommend shedding it and just putting a red dot on there, though, personally.
And that's exactly what I said, too. I was like, oh, cool. I have something to put a red dot on now. But
so I was looking at...
Go
ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go, Mike!
So anyway,
Fine,
it's a shotgun that shoots 12 gauge and it's box fed out of magazine. By little children.
Yeah. It looks like an AR, but it is indeed a 12 gauge. Came with a 5-round mag because we can't get 9-round mags in Colorado because it's stupid and gay and I hate it. But I'm gonna put a red dot on it. It fucking smokes clay pigeons. I shot one with one hand because that's how I shoot my gun sometimes. Like any gun I own, I have to shoot it one-handed. My 300 included. I have shot that multiple times with one hand.
And then Dave's gonna reach the age of 50 and wonder why he's got a bunch of carpal tunnel on his right wrist and not his left.
By that time, I'll have a titanium wrist like Lieutenant Dan wishes he did. But
Lieutenant
Dave, you got new wrists.
So I was gonna say that, like I'm looking at the website or not on the website. I'm looking at Gun Digest, and reading the article that they've got on it, they've got a picture of it like real prominent right there. It's in FDE. It's got the carry handle, all that, and I'm like, why in the ever loving fuck did they decide that this thing needs a carry handle on this Picatinny rail?
Because
And
they
then
want it
so
to
I
look
scroll
like an AR.
down, and it immediately, the very first words that I see when I scroll down are imported from Turkey. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they wanted it to look like an AR-15 or an
Yeah.
M16. So
And I mean, it's a direct competitor to the Rock Island VR80, which is like double or triple the price of this shotgun. And this shotgun fucking runs. So I have shot a Rock Island VR80, which is like an AR patterned 12 gauge, and it will not cycle 2 3/4 inch shells whatsoever. Low brass. It will not cycle them. This one does sometimes. You put 3-inch shells in there or high brass shells, and it runs like a fucking champ. Like,
Nice.
never had an issue. The only issue I had was another time that I was shooting it one-handed, and I guess I limp wristed a 12 gauge, and it failed to eject one
that's
time.
just it's like my shotgun now.
True.
But no, I mean it shoots clays even with the carry handle iron sights and all that shit. Oh man, I'm dusting clays, and it was great because I had we had a big old little get together. So there's 11 kids at my house, and they all took turns pulling the string of my clay pigeon thrower because I'm too poor to get an automatic one. So
That's what I
they
got.
they all took turns pulling the string, and it was a blast. It was fun, and so I do believe it won't be a hunting gun because it is heavy, but like a bird hunting gun. But a coyote gun though, I can see some promise in this. So we will see come this winter.
I'm assuming it has, you can swap out the chokes, right?
Haven't
Or is it
dove
just
that far into it. It's got a break on the end of it, so I haven't. I got it, and like I didn't even take it in the house, and I grabbed a box of shells and just went to shooting clays, and then
does
once
say
I was
rear
done with that,
sight.
I stuck it in my pickup.
It does say it's supposed to come with 3 chokes. So
I believe it does.
anyway,
I just haven't got that far.
what load would you use for coyotes?
That Hornady actually makes a coyote load, and I
Describe
think
it.
it's like 4-shot or something like that. It's big shot. It's not quite double up buck, but it's not
Okay.
super light either.
All right. Oh,
But
looks
anyway,
like it's 3-inch BBs. Yeah.
Yeah.
This just makes me think of that Genesis arms that I shot at PA Range Day.
Mhm.
And they're, of course, only similar in that they look similar. And that's about it.
No, it's a fun shotgun. I mean, I had to mag dump it just to see like how fast it would shoot, and I couldn't outrun it. And I'm not like the fastest shooter, but it ran faster than I thought it would. Like,
I would
by
love that.
far.
I would love it if you took that to like a organized clay shoot.
Just piss off all the fuds.
Just some old man just over there seething.
Dude,
Like,
instead
I
of
did-
having a magazine sticking out the front of your shotgun for 20 feet, now you can have a magazine sticking out the bottom of your shotgun for 20 feet.
If I show up to an organized clay shoot, I would have a drum mag.
The only people he'd
Solid.
really, really piss off are the guys with the really expensive over-unders.
So all of them.
With a little padded, shoulder on their
Yo.
shooting jacket and all that fancy stuff.
Perazzi's and stuff. Yep. No, it'd be fun. I think it matches my off-road granny car perfect.
Yeah, it definitely does that,
It's like-
actually.
If I roll up and I pull out that gun, you're like, yep, that checks out.
Yeah, totally. I would agree with that.
The redneck with a shotgun has evolved.
Exactly.
Yeah, it used to
Fuck
be a
your pump
a
action.
cheap double barrel. Now it's a It's a Turkish semi-auto.
Yeah, it used to be a cheap double barrel and a 58 Ford, and now it's a $200 Chinese semi-auto 12 gauge and a 98 Buick LaCrosse.
Close. Good enough. I
I don't
accept it.
even know.
Let 'em
There's
know.
an entire
So no.
yeah.
At least he got
new
a
fun
correct
gun.
Buick car.
I think that's a car. I don't remember.
It is. You actually identified a correct Buick vehicle.
Yes,
Not-
you did. However, mine
not
is an
the
Oldsmobile,
correct one.
which is a different Buick. But anywho,
It's a different government motors vehicle.
do you know what else? Colorado's
else?
secondary draw list is out right now.
Ooh. Secondary draw list.
I watched two people on this podcast just instantly go to keyboards.
Yeah,
you have
I
no
went to
idea.
the keyboard to remember when the deadline for the secondary draw is.
28th. So it opens
I gotta get in for
June
my birthday
20th,
then.
closes June 28th at 8 p.m. I do not know when it opens. Nobody has listed anything about that. The leftover stuff goes on sale at 9 a.m., but I don't know if the secondary draw opens at midnight on like 12:01 on the 20th or what. But I'm going to check. Because
This appears
there's-
that the list is out. You can just apply for them. Like now,
you
it's
can't
open to
apply for them until the 20th. You can read their literature. But, anywho,
You said you
there
didn't know
is
when.
fuck all for antelope tags down here. I mean, there's some private land, but there's zero public land tags that are available for the secondary draw, except for one buck tag that I'm gonna put in for. And by the time you're listening to this, I will have already put in for it. So may the odds be ever in your favor. But my daughter, she's going to put in for the one late season buck deer tag that is not private land and not whitetail only. So we'll see if she draws that. Youth takes preference, but there's other youths in the county that like to hunt. So we'll see. Hopefully she'll get something. Hopefully I get something. That'd be super cool.
I'm seeing a couple of deer licenses right now. I'd be interested in.
They've
I
got,
bet
there's
you do.
another 831 leftover tags for Unit 41 where I was going after black bear last year.
Jeez.
I'd like
Just-
to talk to your brother again about how they come up with tag numbers, because it's like, is that reflective of them just wanting to flush out every bear possible, or is that reflective of there being too many bears?
It's reflective of it. Hasn't mattered. It has to do with the wildlife biologists and the numbers of animals they want to keep in the general region. So
I think I'm going to do.
if you remember what he was talking about when he was on last time, and you asked him this question about how they want to keep the herds, the specific herd that they cut back on, they want to keep it around 18 to 20,000 elk, and it's currently around 11 to 12,000. So they cut the licenses. I'm sure the bear tag that you're talking about is much the same. The issue is likely that nobody wants to hunt there. Maybe it's too difficult to find bear.
well, the problem is too is that it's fall and everybody's going after elk, and nobody cares about bear in the fall.
That's a good point.
Anyway, I'm going to be
Solid.
doing lots of planning. I'm probably going to pick a different unit after all this year, but like Unit 53 has 481 tags available, and that's a very sparsely like human populated unit. So that one might be good to get into in terms of, I don't know, lots of little nooks and valleys and water going through
I
there, too.
also think
Anyway,
those high tag number units are somewhat of a money grab, because down here we have a highway that runs right through the middle of our county, and that is the dividing line between one set of GMUs for a tag and another set of GMUs for a tag. So game management units. My side of the highway has like 64 private land tags available. The other side of the highway has 700. So it's like there's not 700 antelope over there. And I know because all the antelope are on this side. So honestly, I think it's part of a money grab. But
I'd love
I
to
don't
hear
think it's
the
the whole
answer to
thing.
this, because that I
I'm
looked at it
sure
that way.
Fish
That's solid.
Squeezer will pipe in and say something. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like that same unit 41, which is where there's all those black bear tags. They have 751 secondary draw elk tags available. I can tell you, I didn't see any elk sign in there, that at least that I saw.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I mean, they're not above money grabbing.
Well, it is Colorado, where they interrupt your life for 18 months while they install a third lane on the interstate, and then charge you money to drive on that third lane. So, you know.
I could see
I was
it.
just talking about,
Don't forget that they put it to the voters whether or not they were going to expand that third lane, and the voters said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and do that." And then the state came back with, "Oh yeah, by the way, that lane you approved, we're going to make it a toll lane." And the voters were like, "You fucking dickheads."
Yeah. Anyway, so no, secondary draw is exciting. I got to put some research down on where I'll be going for black bear this year.
I did put a link in the show notes to the secondary draw page. If you are wanting to apply for the secondary draw in Colorado, just click that, and then it's got elk, deer, bear, and antelope. So pick whatever
Speaking
your
of-
fancy is and see the available licenses.
Speaking of licenses, quick update. I think we touched on this last week with there being a committee hearing about whether over-the-counter archery season for elk was going to be going bye-bye in Colorado in 2025. Just quick touch base on that. So it turns out the committee basically voted that for residents, elk archery over-the-counter is still a thing. For non-residents, though, it's down to a lottery draw. So sorry, non-residents. That sucks. Oh, stop rubbing it in their faces. But anyway, all right.
Why?
So,
well, speaking of controlled hunts,
I was about to say, what would you control, Vince?
well, last week I was kind of chiming in because during the show, the email started coming in for my draw hunt applications. And of course, elk, I did not draw, which I kind of didn't expect to. Turkey, I didn't draw, which I only put in for one hunt because I didn't want to drive very far for turkey. I only put in for points for antelope because I have no plan to hunt antelope anytime soon, and I'm just going to put in for the points until I decide that I actually want to do that. But I drew a deer tag out of one of the controlled hunts.
Oh, man.
Which it's not like, your guys' deer tags where you kind of have to draw a unit and you can go hunting that unit on public or private land, yada, yada, yada. Like, I still have my 6 tags, and this is 2 extra tags for a specific little wildlife management unit. And it's an interesting hunt because it's one day that you get to hunt there. So it's a specific day that you're hunting there, and you show up early in the morning, you get checked in, and then you go out and you find a spot. And it's first is antlerless, and then the second is either sex. So you have to shoot a doe first, and then after that, once you have that checked in, you can go back and you can get either another doe or a buck. So I'm hoping that it's a nice little hunt. It's in the middle of the week, and it's just, like I said, it's just one day, which I kind of put in for 4 of those on different days at this specific wildlife management area because I thought it was going to be easier to get a single day off work, and I'm probably correct. But yeah, so looking forward to that. I can go scout it at any time, and I may do that. It's about 55 miles away or so. but I might take a day and go look around there and see if there's any particular area that looks real good, and maybe plan ahead a little bit. Because if I could get 2 deer there real quick in quick succession, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
would be sweet.
And I'm not above like shooting the 2 does and going home.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I'll
meat in
do
the
it.
freezer, dude. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's gonna need the meat grinder soon.
I need a new meat grinder. I was listening to you talk about yours. Mine works, but it's at least, oh goodness, 15 years old.
Hmm.
It was my in-laws before it was ours, and it struggles sometimes. I actually had to pull it completely apart once, I think 2 seasons ago, because the connections on all of the buttons had started to corrode. So I had to pull it apart and clean the connections to it
Yikes.
so that it would continue to work.
Jesus.
Fucking
He's trucking
yikes.
along now.
Is fine.
Grinder is fine.
It's fine. No. Need more
Ooh.
lemon pledge.
Then you can grind it up, and you can put a probably relatively lean, like deer sausage, into your own homemade freeze-dried biscuits and gravy. Have you been freeze-drying more stuff?
You have me really interested in like making sausage, because we eat like breakfast sausage all the time.
Oh, we breakfast sausage not every Sunday, but awfully close to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that, mixing that in with the biscuits and gravy, because I could get to almost 100% like homemade on that.
Mhm.
We actually, my wife and I shared one of our bags that we had of the biscuits and gravy, which is about 3 biscuits, I think, and maybe 2.5 ounces of gravy per biscuit in there, and some leftover scrambled eggs that I kind of just threw in there with it. I was actually pretty surprised by how much freaking water that took to reconstitute everything in there. And there was still some crunchy bits,
Yeah.
but 3 biscuits, the gravy, and the eggs took like 2 cups of water to fully reconstitute.
Damn.
And that was me. I did like 1 cup and I put it in there, and then I closed it back off, like nice and hot water, and went back a little bit later, and like there's no water in here, and there's still like 2 fully like crunchy biscuits in here. Like, okay, so I'd start adding more water, and eventually I just took everything out and poured it in a bowl, and then add a little bit more and covered it, and finally said heck with it and just ate it. But it was actually really good. But that's just because I make a mean biscuits and gravy.
Fucking A.
Yeah, the peak survival biscuits and gravy, I just looked it up just as I was trying to remember. It takes like a cup and a third to reconstitute that. And to be honest with you, I don't think it ever truly fully reconstitutes, because they're still crunchy biscuits, basically croutons, but you just power through it.
I think I could have done 2.5 cups and it would have been pretty good. But I got bored waiting on it, so I ate it.
That's totally fair.
I actually have some pasta and with meat sauce that I freeze dried, and I need to try that and see how that turned out.
Ooh, so basically like spaghetti.
Yeah, I think I did bow tie pasta. No, I did
Well, I mean, close enough. Like it, yeah. In my family, we make spaghetti with basically every kind of pasta in the world. It doesn't have to be spaghetti.
every pasta besides spaghetti.
Oh, that we do that too. When
The worst pasta.
when I dehydrate it, I use angel hair because it dries out the easiest because it's so thin. Which means it also reconstitutes a lot easier.
I think we use the spirally ones.
It all tastes the same, Dave. Oh, all right. You're some kind of monster who
Yeah,
doesn't like meat sauce because you're a
Fucking
freak.
hate spaghetti.
Gross. Why are you
Wait,
like
what?
this?
What about it?
No.
Tell me.
Red sauce. I
Tomatoes?
can no. Tomatoes are fine. I can kind of half-ass stand pizza. I cannot stand spaghetti.
Salsa.
Oh,
What if we just took noodles
I'll
and
eat this shit up.
salsa and
Okay. I think most of it was because of how much spaghetti we ate when I was a kid.
Oh, we ate tons of
Oh.
it. I still eat tons of it.
I got so fucking burnt out. And I'm like, oh my God, spaghetti again.
Okay.
And
so
I
fun fact,
cannot stand spaghetti.
We
or
cannot
goulash.
serve pasta in our house right now. And we haven't been able to for a couple of years because we burn our kids out on whenever we were feeling kind of lazy, we just cook like pasta and make some sauce to go with it. And
Mhm.
now our kids like will not eat it. They're just like, oh
Yeah.
no. And so maybe here in a couple of years we can have like pasta on a regular basis again. But yeah, right now it's a no. It's no, senor.
Yeah.
So I kind of get
I
that.
will fuck
but
some
also,
garlic bread up, but
There's never
yeah,
enough garlic
I don't
bread.
do the old spaghetti. No.
And I really don't
Never.
like bread that much. But garlic bread is pretty good. I actually, well,
You know,
I try to not eat all of it because then the kids will eat nothing but garlic bread because they see me just eating garlic bread.
if you had told me 2 years ago when we were talking about, oh, should we start a whole podcast thing? If you told me I would have ended up on a podcast with a bunch of dietary freaks,
No
I think I'd have
kidding,
said
dude.
no.
No shit. Like
You don't like spaghetti. You don't like bread. I forget what you didn't like, Mike, that I brought up earlier.
Spiders.
I like food.
No, there was a food item. Eggnog. You two don't like eggnog.
That's not a food item.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Close enough.
No, that's alcoholic
And it is
toothpaste.
delicious. And Sam, everything you taste wild game is metallic. So
I don't eat metal. Got it.
we are all in this square, I believe. What's a Venn diagram with 4 circles?
A bigger Venn diagram.
Okay.
just one circle.
It's a Venn diagram of fat guys touching belly buttons.
Gross. I hate that.
Yep.
No.
All right, so
Don't like that.
Well,
Mike.
we could be Sam is Utah,
Mike said no.
Dave is
Mike,
Arizona,
no.
Vince is New Mexico, and I'm Colorado. And right now we got the 4 corners.
Was I at least Utah?
Yeah.
Okay, at least I can. Never mind.
Mike chose Colorado.
None of
Mine-
y'all
It's only-
deserve to be New Mexico.
But it's the only 4 corners, so it's just how it's set up.
Mike,
Sam,
tell me about your life.
my life is good. We went camping for Daddy's Day on Sunday. Just me and Bugs, and my wife is.
Funny?
That's one way to put it.
Mike,
She's
funny?
more of an indoor girl, so camping's not her thing.
Well, we're gonna
so-
change that.
Ella and I went out. We went up to 11 Mile as our first camp of the season. And God, it was so gorgeous. The whole drive up, it was totally green. I love this time of year in this state because it rains a lot. So because it rains a lot, everything is super green. It hasn't died off yet. Last year was awesome because it stayed green like into August. But anyway, that's part of why we didn't get camping last year was because it rained so goddamn much. Anyway,
Weird flex, but okay.
this one time it rains a lot in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Yeah, we don't
So-
get rain down here anymore.
How dare
apparently.
you?
Well, I'll blow it your way next time.
Please.
I'll just
do.
be like,
I'm glad that comment came after we were done talking about sausage.
me too. We went out, got camp set up. There was this family with a 5th wheel right next to us. They had 2 little girls. One was about 3, the other was about 8. And after about an hour of being there, Ella was like, "Can I go play with them?" And I was like, "Yeah, please do. Leave me alone." So she runs off and she goes and plays with the little girls, and then she comes back and she wants to go fishing. So we take our lines over to the lake and probably sat there for an hour and a half doing nothing but throwing hooks in the water. I was looking around, not a single person was catching fish. I guess they just weren't biting, or
Well,
I think we've talked about it. It was afternoon, mid-afternoon.
Yeah, a little. Gotta wait till the sun goes down some, but there's also just days where nothing's biting.
Did
See,
your
that-
hooks
that's
have
stuff
bait?
Yes, they had power
Okay.
bait. I didn't know you had to wait. Like, I would have gone at sunset if I had known that.
Well, there's not like you have to wait, but there are like better. It's kind of like hunting. Like there's good hours and there's bad hours.
There's like active times for the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe next time. And it's not like we're not going back. So, we went on a little hike right before sunset. We stayed on the other side of the lake than we normally do. Sam, you were there last year for the one spot where we ended up being able to start duck hunting.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the other side, and I was looking for other duck spots over there. Best I could figure, there was basically where we were was on the west side of the lake, where the South Platte River starts pouring into it, or
Yeah.
exiting it one way or the other.
It's going in.
Okay. So the
The
river's
other end
coming
is the
in.
dam.
Oh, okay. That's right.
And Beavers didn't build that one. I'm pretty sure the Army Corps of Engineers did. They're a little more illegal to hunt than beavers.
Well, they're also pretty. They're a little bit smarter than beavers.
Eh.
Just a little bit. I mean, let's be fair. Their dam is still standing, so they did something.
I mean, a little harder. Like, what's the season?
Right. So the cool thing about being on the other side of the lake was there was this little mountain, tiny little mountain that just run up into the west, and you could go about 600 yards up it before there was a fence. It was all state land, but I guess they didn't want you going that way. So we wander off. We went to the potty in the ground before we hiked up this mountain because it was literally the same direction. Get up to the top. She's having a great time just dancing, carrying her stuffed bunny, bringing her books. And I'm like, why are you bringing books on a hike? That's just extra weight. And she's like, but I'm going to bring them. Okay.
Don't question these things. Just go,
yeah,
okay.
I know. I try not to, but dude, sometimes it's like, are you serious?
She's like 5, man.
You're right.
Yeah, she's serious. She's bringing her books. You just go, okay, cool.
Well, she'll be 7 in 4 months, but still,
Whatever.
I mean,
Close enough.
Hey, Dad, can I bring my Barbie on a hike? Like,
Yes, yes, you
first
can.
of all, you didn't bring the Barbie camping because no.
Like, wouldn't you rather carry this knife instead?
Yeah, like that. Carrying a knife is way cooler than carrying a Barbie. So we get to the top of this. We get to the fence, and we just walk along the fence line back towards the north. The fence line went up north, and then it came back down to the east, and right back down to the campsite. And for some reason, there were some cows, and cows in Colorado, random places, not really. It's an open range state, so that's not really shocking. What was shocking is that they somehow got through the fence that was there to keep them out of the campsite area, and they were just kind of trickling into the campsite area, and for some reason, the campers... I take that back. It wasn't the campers. It was other people in the parking lot being idiots. There were 3 people in the campsites, and we were one of them, so... Anyway, these idiots start yelling and chasing and like clapping at the cows and just basically generally doing the same dumb shit that people do with the fluffy cows, except the fluffy cows don't tolerate it really well, and steaks kind of do. So it got a little concerning because these idiots were chasing the cows and making a lot of noise and scaring them. And these cows, about 4 of them, start climbing the hill directly towards us. And I'm like, okay, yes, they're cows.
So you're saying that they were coming right for you.
They were coming right for me. And I was getting a little nervous. Because, look, there's dickheads down at the bottom of the hill yelling and screaming at 2,000-pound animals, and there's 4 of them coming our way. Like, I don't know if they're going to be pissed off or if they're going to ignore me or her, or if I'm going to have to throw her on a rock to get her out of danger or what. Like, yes, they're cows, but they're also being yelled at, so you don't know what they're going to do.
This reminds me of the opening of Tremors, where I don't know. Have you ever seen Tremors, the movie?
Yes.
And there's Val and
Not
Earl at
for
the
a long
beginning, and it's Kevin Bacon wakes up Fred Ward. There you go, Fred Ward, by jumping up and down the truck, going "Stampede, Stampede, Earl!" And Earl falls out of a sleeping bag and goes, "It's not funny. I bet it is Stampede." How many cows does it take to make a stampede, Earl? 3, 4?
It's a good question.
Next time you're down here, we're going to go tag calves.
I am so into that. Let's do it.
Like with tag their ears?
Yes.
All right, I'm in.
Can you get
Like,
me hooked up with a
That will get you over your cow fear.
I'm not
cow
scared of cows. I just didn't know what these animals
You
were going to
said
do.
you were
as
a
they
little
kept
bit more
walking towards us.
concerned.
A little bit
It's
more
not like they're
concerned,
just
not
gonna-
terrified or scared, but worried of the unknown is more.
Bovinophobia is the excess and often irrational fear of cows or cattle. Can
Have
make
you
that a
ever
short title?
like
Bovinophobia?
like-
Yeah.
you're just randomly walking and you just go like down into a stance, just like
And watch
like,
the cows
legs
run.
and arms spread, just like yeah. You do that at cows, they will beat feet, sir. Even them high-headed bitches.
Well, that would have been.
They go,
useful to
"Oh,
know, and
no,
I wouldn't
no."
have been as concerned. I was looking for so. My biggest problem was not that they were coming towards us. My biggest problem was that I kept cutting away from them, and so that they could run up the fence line and be happy little cows and run away from the idiots, and also they could see me walking away from them. No, they kept coming directly towards me. No matter which direction I walked, they came towards me. And I was like, what the fuck do you want, steaks? Leave me
Because
alone.
they're cows and
Food.
they're people. And they're like, yeah, they're wondering if you're going to feed them, dude.
Just next time you're out there with cows, just shake a white bag around. Trust me.
I carry white bags in my back
Like
pocket.
Bring one. Bring a
Walmart bag.
handkerchief.
What will that do?
Yes.
I don't like this.
One way to find out.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that.
Yeah, I know I'm a city boy. I like the outdoors, just the 8,000 pounds of animals. I didn't realize they wanted food. Otherwise, I'd have been like, all right, well, I don't have any. Leave me alone.
Mike's getting
Did
his pissed
I-
out of his holster thinking they might attack us.
Did
want
I
our meat.
fucking
I didn't
post
think they were going to
reel?
attack us.
I'm
I thought
kidding.
they might like run past us at a
They're literally gonna run up to you and go like, "Mine,
Boo.
mine."
Did I post that reel about the guy that was hiking in the woods and a herd of cows started following him and he tried to mace them with bear spray?
No.
Yelling at them like, ah!
I've
Wild
seen that
mountain
one.
cows is what the caption said. And they were just curious like, hey, man, you got some cake? You got some food? But no, he's fucking screaming at him,
Like, "Hey, man,
spraying
you
bear
holding?"
spray. It's like, God almighty.
How ironic would that be? You waste your whole can of bear spray on cows only to get mauled by a grizzly later.
You turn around and there's a grizzly.
Deserved.
Like, ooh, shouldn't have done that.
Like, I feel like having fajitas later.
Yeah.
Dude, fajitas while camping. That's a great idea. So, anyway, we got past the cows, and they
It's like
they
they're
actually
on
started.
top.
Honestly, Dave, they started grazing, and then they completely ignored us after they started grazing. So you're probably right. They probably were like, "Hey,
Thankfully,
does this guy
I
have
mean-
food?" Yeah, I know. We
It was a
almost
close
died.
call there for a minute.
Fuck you guys,
Yeah, I was so concerned.
Just-
bitches.
all right, move
Anyway.
on before you do any more damage to yourself.
And in happier news, I did actually. We made. Let me back up a little bit. So, in one of the Discord chats we're all in, I was talking about our cast iron stuff, my cast iron stuff that I bought for camping and for other stuff at home, and seasoning them came up, and they basically advised me to season them in the oven at 450 degrees with either canola or avocado oil because their burn point's so high. So I did so. And then I took 2 of the pieces camping with us. And I made steaks on the grill one for dinner. And that, obviously, they're steaks. They didn't stick, so whatever. The next morning I made eggs in the big one. And I was hoping for omelets, but it wasn't non-sticky enough. So I'm hoping, just keep using it and maybe that'll clear up.
Use it, and 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 eventually you'll get to the point where it's fairly nonstick.
I've found
There
that
are
even
people. Go ahead.
Also,
Vince.
is it a lodge?
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so the other thing you might want to do if you can't get that thing well seasoned is take an angle grinder with like a buffing butter, like a buffing pad, and just buff that thing to a mirror finish, and then start seasoning it. Because I have a lodge, I need to do that to mine, because those damn lodge pans come pre-seasoned, and they got a gritty texture. That gritty texture is never going to be like really non-stick compared to
that's what the eggs were sticking on, was that gritty texture.
I need to do it to mine. My parents' cast iron is so like worn down and smooth brained that it's very non-stick. Mine is non-stick enough that it only annoys me occasionally, to where the only time I think about taking an angle grinder to it is times like this where I'm not going to go do it right now. But you want to make that go, Vince.
You also really need to clean it in between uses.
Yeah.
If you don't, it will stick. Even if you like put oil in it and then say cooked your steak, next time you go to cook your eggs in it after that, they're going to stick to it. And maybe if you get one that's really mirror smooth, it'll be nice and non-stick. But even with ours, we still put grease, butter, what have you in there before we put our eggs in. And it has to be hot enough. It has to be plenty hot enough so that when the eggs go in, you hear that nice sizzling sound as they start to cook on there. Because if not, they'll just stick to it.
Yeah. It's not like a Teflon pan where, it's just like you can put it in cold. Yeah, you will need to put a little bit of oil in. And then as for cleaning each time, what I do for cleaning mine is, you don't leave. My wife does this, and it drives me a little bit crazy.
You use Dawn dish soap to
No.
excessive amounts, correct?
We're going before this. My wife does this, and it drives me a little bit crazy sometimes. Once you're finished, like this is what I do. When I'm finished cooking something in a cast iron, I get it out of the pan. I empty the damn pan, and then you grab your piping hot pan immediately. Turn around. Actually, you should do this part beforehand, but you want to get your sink going as hot as it'll go too. You grab your pot pan, you turn around, you stick it into the sink. You don't stick your head over it or you steam your own head off. And that hot water hitting the pan is still going to cause a nice lot of steam. And then you have your little scrubby brush, and then you scrub around and around and around and around, and then boom, your cast iron's clean.
Good to know.
That's what I do anyway.
Okay.
I do something similar.
And then you have to re-season it. Not re-season it, but then you're going to take your piping hot cast iron. You're going to turn back around to your stove. You're going to dry the bottom of it. You're going to set it on that stove while it's still, fairly hot, not like turned all the way up. Let all the water dry off of it, and then you're going to have. I rotate out old t-shirt rags. You'll have one that's just got a lot of like avocado oil left over in it from using it 100 times. You're just going to wipe that thing out real quick. Leave it hot and then just shut the heat off and let it cool down on its own. and then it should be good to go for next time.
If you had a paper towel that you were throwing your
That works too.
slices of bacon on, that'll have plenty of grease on it to rub onto that pan.
The only issue with the paper towel, and this is why I don't use a paper towel, is if you haven't done the right thing, which is take all that horrible pre-seasoning off, you'll get little bits of paper towel stuck in all that granule surface, like little
Well,
fibrous
don't go
hairs.
like digging into it. Like
I don't know how not to go ape on it, okay? I don't have a gentle touch. I'm just like, wipe the pan out real fast. And then I leave all these little hairs to get the food next time. Like, "Eh."
So I do something similar, like to Sam, with my cast irons, but I'll empty them out and I'll kind of wipe them out, and then I get it like ripping fucking hot, and I'll take a cup of water and I'll just slowly dribble it over the pan while it's on the stove, and that you will see the shit break off at the bottom, like your water will turn brown. Don't dump it in there. Just let it sizzle, and then you'll see it boil, and everything will separate, and then you can just kind of wipe it out from there, and then proceed with Sam's steps.
But if you do want to crack your cast iron, get it piping hot and then dump cold water on it.
Yeah. My method also works on Blackstones, so like the big flat iron, the big griddles that are like a grill, but those that you cannot put under the sink.
Yeah, cast iron is definitely more like labor intensive than just cooking on Teflon. But like, it's cast iron. I actually do need to take care of mine because I do have I think it's a 18-inch skillet. I forget. I bought it ages ago at Goodwill, and I got all excited to take it camping with us, and then I scrubbed it out nice and clean. And then heated it up, and then it immediately started smelling of cigarette smoke. So that one got thrown
Gross.
back out in the garage. Yeah, it got thrown back out in the garage. That one might find its way back to Goodwill because I'm not sure I want to go that far.
You said that's cast iron?
Yeah.
Okay, just next time you have like a campfire, anything you cook
I'll
out,
just throw it
just
in there.
throw it in the fire. Like let it sit there for a while.
I think I will. It's just like that. Just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because I was going to heat it up and then do the water scrub on it, and then basically assess what it looked like after I got it clean and got the dust off. And then, yeah, it must have been sitting like hanging on a wall or something, because it's like, oh yeah, that's bad.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's bad.
You need to just get that up to like 900 degrees and
just melt it and recast it.
It's recast iron.
So here's what we're gonna do. I'm talking to my daughter. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a mold out of sand, and we're gonna melt the cast iron and pour it into the mold.
Make a mold with that pan to then smelt that pan to pour into the mold
to make the pan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problems at all.
Panception.
But it gets a little smaller.
I think we've mulled over this long enough.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, you get panception. You don't like my mold joke. Fuck you.
So
you were grasping at straws, sir.
You're correct. I was.
Oh, good.
I will not deny that. I will go. I will say this much for the weather. The weather was beautiful. It got a little cold at night, but not too bad. Only problem was we discovered at about 4 a.m. that she never actually got in the sleeping bag. She was underneath it. So as soon as she got in it,
pack them fleece jammies, man. My daughter, I couldn't keep her a sleeping bag if I like put shock cord around her neck. She'd still wiggle her way out of a sleeping bag. Like, kids don't sleep in sleeping bags. They're just gonna have to get used to it.
You have to. Feels like you have to get the one where you like wrap it completely around your head. And
it doesn't matter. My daughter would get out of that thing still. She'd still be like, next thing you know, like I wake up and she's halfway off the sleeping pad on the ground with nothing over her. So then you got to grab her, haul her back up on the pad, put her back in the bag, and then 2 hours later, wake up and find her there again.
Yeah, don't get me started on this.
Basically, Your daughter's just gonna have to learn her lesson one day and then hold still on her own volition.
I've shared a
Alright, fair
sleeping
enough.
bag with a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, and also an 18-month-old. And man,
Slept good that night.
like I'm cold, so I'm gonna like slowly inch up out of this sleeping bag
Yeah,
and into a ball, and then refuse to be shoved back down into it.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's all valid.
All right. So I had one final thing I wanted to mull over, and this is I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking for input necessarily, but I've been thinking over the past week about hunting rifle stuff. I don't know. Looking at that bear hunt, that 300 Win Mag is just I don't know. It might just be too damn heavy for mountain hunting still.
It probably will
going-
be.
I keep going back and forth on it, but I took that Athlon 2 to 12 scope off of it and threw it on my Bergara, and it's like, oh, it's not what I'd call handy, because I mean, you look at compared to some of the guns you'll pick up off the shelf at a gun store, like our Shields, especially because that's so many damn hunting rifles in there. You pick up some of these things that are like the raw gun itself is like 5 pounds or 6 pounds, so you put an optic on there, it's like an 8-pound gun, like ooh. But 10 pounds is what I'm used to lugging around up and down hills, which is exactly what that Bergara comes in with the Athlon on it. So I think I'm just gonna zero the Athlon on that and then take that out for, I'm gonna say hopefully I draw a bear tag, but again, now that I know better how the whole secondary draw works, and then seeing that there's 400 and 800 tags available, I don't think I'll have an issue. I think I'm just gonna take that back out for black bear this year.
I think 8.5 to 9.5 pounds is correct for like a hunting rifle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super into like super lightweight. Like you can get super lightweight, like the Montana Rifle Company. Is that who I'm thinking of? They had like an Adirondack, which was a little short pencil barreled 6.5 Creedmoor and 308 that came in at 4.5 pounds or something like that without optic.
Oof.
And those are not high recoiling rounds, but on something that light, it is not going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That's why. If I could shave it down to like 9.5 or 8.5.
Kimber. It was a Kimber Adirondack. That was it.
Ew. If I could
No wonder
shave
they called it Adirondack.
If I could shave a bit of weight off of it, that would be preferable. But like 10 pounds is like, okay, I'm good with 10 pounds. Like if I'm building like my AR, my main AR, or even my PTR 91, they both hover right at about 10 pounds. I think the PTR 91, because it's a 308 at 18 inches and it's all, stamped steel, I think it floats at around like 10.5 with my prism optic on it. Nice, decent weights for rifles if you're having to pack them even up and down hills. But this thought really occurred to me because I was watching a YouTube. It wasn't Meat Eater. It was another one. I think it was Fresh Tracks or something like that. Now these dudes tooling up and all down this fallen timber, and they got their rifle out to one hand as they're moving. And then I went to the safe and I picked up the Great Lakes Firearms 300 Win Mag and held it out one hand. It was like, oh, this probably wouldn't be great. Yeah, so.
My very first elk hunt, it was the year I came back from Japan, and 2017, only rifle I had was a 20-inch bull barrel Remington 700 tactical.
Yeah.
It's that bull barrel, even though it's only 20 inches, that rifle was heavy, and I didn't realize how heavy it was, and I thought, oh no, it'll be fine. We only hiked like 400 to 600 yards in from the road to look for a spot to sit, because it was my first hunt and we were literally in a sea of orange, hoping that a herd would just run by. That shit sucked. Heavy rifles are not mountain rifles. Like, I'm planning on, with the GLFA, the 30-06, I'm planning on more road hunting or ATV hunting with it.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. First things first. Vince, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to go back and say, like, I say that about the correct weight of a hunting rifle, but also I had a CZ 527, which is a micro action bolt action that was nice and light and handy. It was a carbine with an 18-inch barrel. And a number of times I carried that just because it was nice and easy to carry, because I think it weighed 6.5 pounds with an optic on it, just because it was so small.
Yeah. No, Mike, I had a similar thought, which is like, if this was...
Oh, but it was a 5.56.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't a standard short action. It was shorter than that.
It was a small action. No, Mike, I was thinking something similar. Like if this was more of a, not like road hunt. So I'm not going to say road hunting, because even if I was driving something around, I would still want to get off the road at least a ways. Because what I've seen from road hunters, like they literally never leave the shoulder of the road. So we won't call it road hunting. We'll call it like highly mobile hunting. That sounds really gay.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called road hunting.
Motorized hunting.
There you go. Motorized hunting. I like that one better.
For the blitz.
Motorized horseless carriage hunting.
Too many syllables. Come up with an acronym, military boy.
For the blitzkrieg on the deer.
MHCH.
Well, I did call it something like a holy war against the beaver. No, it was a jihad against the beaver in April. That's what it was. Anyway, now like if you were tooling along an ATV or something because you knew, all right, I'm gonna go check out this spot, and it's 200 yards off the road. That would be one thing versus parking and then going, all right, I'm gonna hike 5 miles in that way.
Right.
Like, and I don't want to haul 10-pound rifles enough for something like that. So,
yep.
I still think 6.5 is, with a good bullet selection, is going to be more than enough for black bear. Not too worried about that. So, because I was thinking, well, crap, do I need to worry about getting a bigger bolt gun?
Well, 6.5 will take down an elk. It'll definitely. I mean,
I still wouldn't want to use it on an elk, but with black bear being an average 200 to 300 pound animal versus elk being, a cow being 400 to 600 pounds, I'm still comfortable with that.
308 is perfectly valid for elk, and 6.5 is a faster 308, so it's fine. And I know it's not a faster 308. I think let me clarify, because I'd say most people would understand what I mean. I don't think actually most people would. 6.5 is a neck down 308 cartridge, so you take a 308 bullet. Or you take a 308 case and then you squeeze it to 6.5 millimeters, and now you have the same powder behind a smaller, lighter bullet. And then, physics, speed, and weight all come into play.
Well, the only thing, I'll caveat that with bear, at least, and I'm going to also caveat my own caveat by saying I'm not like I have experience doing this. This is all based on research and listening to people who do. You're going to want some nice sectional density to at least try and hopefully put that bullet all the way through the bear and make 2 holes to make it easier to track down later. But
yeah, which you can definitely do with a 6.5.
I'm a 2-hole kind of man.
Well, 6.5 projectiles tend to have high sectional density anyway, just because they're long, because the original military firearms chambered in your 6.5 calibers, like 6.5 Swede, 6.5 by 5.4, Mannlicher. Mannlicher. I said Mannlicher. Okay.
I know.
You like
I love that we have Mannlicher in the Beaver Show.
Go ahead, get out your system.
Normally, I'm the guy in your shoes who mentions a Mannlicher. I try and go Mannlicher just to try it. Yeah, give it a little more accent. But no, normally I'm the guy in your shoes going, all right, come on, get it over with. But this time, I get to be on the other side.
Anyway, like the original twist was a 1 in 7.7 inch twist, which will stabilize really long and heavy bullets. So there was never this thing where you had like a 1 in 12 twist or a 1 in 11, and you slowly had to have manufacturers tighten the twist to put heavier bullets in the caliber, which is why you have 150 grain bullets 140 to 150 grain bullets pretty common in 6.5, and that's also the most common bullet weight in 30 caliber. So you just kind of have a lot of sectional density built in there.
Yep.
The Swedes use the 6.5 extensively on their version of moose, which are smaller than American moose, but still substantially sized. And people have used the 6.5 Swede on moose here in the States, and or not in the States, in Canada, Alaska. And I mean, I've heard about it from people online, like people using the 6.5 Creedmoor on brown bear in Alaska, because that's what the local yokels just happen to use.
And
But
you
of
brought
course-
up something really good point there. The 30 caliber weights. A lot of people, like, I use 180 grains. It's just what I choose to use. But a lot of people use 150 grain 30 caliber bullets, whether it's 30-06, 308, any of the other dozen calibers you can load that bullet into, and they take down elk with them all the time.
Oh yeah, the original loading that made the 30-06 famous as an elk cartridge was a 150 grain soft point bullet going 2,750 feet per second at the muzzle, which today is a 22-inch barreled 308, just because of the advancements in powder technology. And you add into that the advancements in projectiles and improved ballistics, and I mean, there's no reason why a 308 is not better than a 30-06 from the 1930s, and the 6.5 does like 99% of what the 308 does, and some things it does better. So
it definitely shoots flatter. It's really good for that, which is, I don't know what it
you get what
for, to be honest, but
you get way better ballistic coefficients in like bullet weights at 6.5. That's where your advantage is.
okay.
It's starting a little bit slower usually than 308 if you're talking about like bullet weights, but there's nothing in 308 where you get to that high of a ballistic coefficient at anywhere near the same muzzle velocity. So like the 6.5 wins on wind deflection from the muzzle, and usually catches drop within the first couple hundred yards, and velocity as well. I mean, it's a good idea. Like, the only reason to go 308 is if you want to take advantage of high volume military ammunition to mess around with.
Yeah, that's solid.
Or in my case, like, if I draw that elk tag in the Wichita Mountains, there is a 270 minimum caliber, so I couldn't use a 6.5 Creedmoor, which really irks me.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's better.
That's a FUD law, is really what that is.
It is a little bit, but it's unlikely to change anytime soon.
No.
So maybe someday
wanna...
they'll drop it from 277 to 264, but whatever.
I did want to point out also that I've heard a lot of talk on other places that, I wouldn't take a 308 to hunt elk, but I'd take a 30-06. The difference between 308 and 30-06 in modern ammo is 100 feet per second.
Well, and you can make up for that if you're using like different barrel lengths.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 24-inch, 308 will beat an 18-inch 30-06 carbine.
Yeah.
The difference is one of them is aggressively American and the other is some NATO nonsense, sir. You kill the elk with sheer America power.
I like how you guys made fun of me for getting 30-06s, and here you are defending my 30-06 choice.
I only made fun of you because you had the option for a 300 Win Mag, and you were like, nah, or like a 7mm, and you're like, nah, 30-06.
Man, 7mm.
Just for ammo compatibility. Like, I hate having multiple calibers.
You'd hate my life.
I genuinely would. I don't like
Vince,
having the 8mm Mauser in my safe that I've shot 20 times.
You might, I
because
think
I have to keep ammo for it.
Vince's more, but anyway.
I might. I like ammo I like commonality. A lot of my guns they're either 45 or 9mm. I had 340s before 40 stopped being a thing.
Variety is the spice of life, and this is why you are tasteless.
I have plenty of taste, sir.
All right. Well,
Speaking of all those spices, I did want to point out, with all this talk about bears and such, I did actually get into the range today, and finally I got some more training in. Did some Mozambiques with the M17.
you got a Mozambique and elk?
If I can, I mean, if I could lawfully and physically accomplish Mozambiquing an elk and take it home, I would absolutely do so.
Mike wanders into the woods and Mozambique's like an 8x8, like big ass elk. Woo! Oops.
It's on film.
No, he Mozambique's a Black Angus.
Because it was coming right for us.
All right.
But yeah, do your training. Don't just carry a sidearm into the woods and pretend it's going to save your life. Actually use it. That's something I've been extremely deficient in the last year and a half. So,
Look, I'm just counting on the loud noise from my 357 to scare the bears off. Okay,
and
I
that
don't
might
know what
work.
you want from me. All right. Well, I do not believe I have anybody to send stickers to at the moment. Even Dusky, because he didn't send me his email address, partner. So
Actually, you need to give me stickers to take to GunCon, and then I
he
need
ain't
to
getting
order
on
you
that. I'm
more.
getting on that. So, Dave,
If you want, I can just send some of the ones I have over.
I've got a whole pack of them. We'll deal with this later. And he's right there,
Lovely.
like literally
Yeah,
right in the next room.
Yeah. It's weird,
Okay.
but it's fine.
It's fine.
So, support the sport and take a buddy hunting and get some trauma training. Search for Let's Go Hunt on YouTube and at Reddit at r/Let's Go Hunt podcast. Links available at firearmsradio.net. If you enjoyed the show, tell your friends and family about us. Check the show notes for info on Initiative 91, the ban on cat hunting in Colorado. And thanks for listening, and let's go hunt.
Oh, that was pretty good timing on that one.
Thank you.
like that.
I was between whaling for a beaver or bovine phobia.
Struggle stuffing sausage.
I'm at Meat Piñata, guys.
I like meat pinata.
Actually, I
also
didn't
like
notice
meat
that one.
piñata.
That'll do.
Yep.
And